Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to this afternoon's edition of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. An unusual time for us to come on a Monday, but circumstances were of such that I couldn't make it this morning. So, as promised, we will always come to bring you the credible, valuable information. So here we are, this Monday afternoon, Monday the 25th day of August, in the year of our Lord 2025, just about a week away from E-Day in Guyana. So welcome, welcome, welcome one and all. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. Now, my colleague, Mr. Conway, is in the studio. He's waiting anxiously to bring you credible, valuable information, as usual. I encourage you now to share the live because many persons would not have been alerted to the fact. And let me tell you all this. I got a little abusing out at the start this morning, right? Because yesterday, I took my time. And even before yesterday, on the program on Friday afternoon, I advised you students that we were not going to be able to be here Monday today at 11 o'clock, the usual time. I said the timings most likely 4, but we're going to communicate that to you later. Yesterday, when I was fairly certain of the arrangements, I made a post on my personal Facebook page and on Speaking Out, telling people that the program will be 4 o'clock today and that the gates will be open at 2 p.m. Bold letters, note the timings, 2 p.m. It's a little off-putting when people now calling you this morning, people messaging you, calling you, what happened to the program and all that. It's off-putting because we do our best to keep you informed of any changes. We have a life. We have to live a life, We can't be here all the time. Things happen. Life happens. But we promise you that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that we bring you the information. So even if the timings have to be adjusted, we will do that. But all we ask you to do is to subscribe to the channel, follow the page on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, hit the notification button, and you're going to get the notification when these notices are posted. Well, let me tell you, it's really off-putting, Only people calling me, people messaging, they want to know what is with the program. The notifications are there. We never ever, every time especially if there's a change, we will notify you. We will notify because I know people have gotten accustomed to the routine. Monday at 11, Wednesday at 11, Friday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Anytime there's any change to that, we are going to tell you. So the only way you can know, we can't pick up the phone and call you. You have got to make sure that you follow the channel. Follow the channel and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button. You're going to get the notification. So I indicated, again, because of circumstances, that the program, or the gates, as we say, will be open at 2 p.m. And we did so. It was open at 2 p.m. I'm happy to announce that a lot of people came in at that time. Obviously, these are the people who are following and who have done what they are supposed to do. Come on, man. Come on. I don't want to abuse out and all that. It was a little rough on me, Because remember, at any one live program, we get thousands of people on, And on YouTube, it's tens of thousands there. And when people calling, it is tough on me. It is tough on me. So y'all help me. As a matter of fact, I can tell you now, it took great efforts to be here this afternoon. Great effort. But I don't want to deny you the opportunity to get credible and valuable information. So notwithstanding the fact that I hardly slept and I'm tired and all this type of thing, I am going to soldier through for the next 2 hours or so you can get the information. All we ask you to do, again I say, is to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You go there now if you have not done so. When you subscribe, there's a little bell somewhere there. Hit that bell. That is, they call it a notification bell. So when anytime anything, whether this program goes live or we post anything, you are going to get a notification that something has been posted so that you can follow it, what is going on. If you are a Facebooker, just follow the page on Facebook. The page on Facebook, they're the same thing, speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence. On YouTube is the same thing, speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence. So please, and let me alert you now too. The fact that elections are next Monday, by now, people winding down. I anticipate that we're gonna get change in timing. So you have got to make sure that you are alert and you follow the channel. So that's by way of the little abuse out that I got abused. The diplomatic abusing, I abuse it like them chap on television and so on. Diplomatic abusing. But we have a lot to tell you this morning, some morning, this afternoon, a lot to tell you this afternoon. So sit back. I know some of you by now are preparing to leave work. Whatever you do, sit back. People in minibuses, people in cars. And let me say this, people meet us, people call, people tell you how much they follow, whether they're in the car, whether they're in YouTube. Some people, when they go home on the night, because it's there on YouTube, they follow. We appreciate that very much. We appreciate it very much. And we were going to continue to come and to bring you credible, valuable information. All we ask you to do, as I've said again, subscribe to the channel. And when you come in, hit the give me a thumbs up, man. Well, we got to 800 and something now, and we get 22 thumbs up. Y'all not doing what you're supposed to do. Y'all are not doing what you are supposed to do. Well, I'm going to go to the roll call. One of the reasons why I'm going to do the roll call this afternoon is to give some people some more time to get in. I'm going to do the roll call. I'm going to make the announcements, and then we're going to go straight into it. Now, the first person in, as I said, 2 o'clock. Look, Peter, on the dot, 2 o'clock. Ulrich, 2 o'clock. Paulette, Sean, Clarence, all of those persons were there too. And then shortly after, Roxanne, Melinda, Sean from upstate New York, Jaco from Georgia, Paulette, Kevin, Courtney, Michael from Mbaimadai. Man, all the way from Mbaimadai can get this notification and be here on time and not molest you. Why you people can? Carl, you know what I'm talking about. Carl, behave yourself. Diane, Moses, Trati is here. Francis, Brian, Henrik, Ashley, Rhonda Lane in the house. Derham still in the house. Goodbye. Morton, Isabella, J.K., Umi, Esla, Benji, all the way from Maikoni, and he get the notification. Marvin, Fergus, Grantley, Lawrence, Carlton, my squad mate, 9430, Barbara, Mary, Lucius, you got to watch it. You're going to get suspension. William, George, Earl, Wenda, Doreen from Canada. Then it was Donna, Anne, Cecile, Lyndon, Dion, Anthony, Petersall and the East Bank, Abera, Pauline, Allison, all the way from Canada, Aubrey, Sheena, Patricia. Then it was David, Joseph, Sandra, Leslyn, Desiree, Mark, then Raybird, Denise, the secretary, Compton, Janella, Evelyn, Hazel, True Guyanese, Curtis, Harold, Reggie, Mark. Then it was Marcus, the next Denise from Florida, Terrence, Cecile, good to see you. Sam, always good to see you. Jason, Danny is here with us. Vibert, and this is Vibert John, Gordon, Siobhan, Clive, all the way from the UK. Then it was Lenin, Paulette, Patrick, next person from the UK. Then we had Lorraine, Desiree, Clifton, and this all the way from Paris. Vibert, East Bank, Demerara, Angela, Tessa, Orin, UK. Vibert, the next Vibert Lawson from the US. Lorraine, Dion, Nicola, Gail from Florida. Then it was Patricia from New Jersey. Hope is here. Nello is here with us. Pastor Smith, Sharon from the UK, Terrence from California, the YouTuber 173. I see you correct it, 17357. Can't make mistake with your number. That is not your number. Barbara, Jean, then he came back, YouTuber corrected it, 17257. That is the number. Wilbert, Allison, Mary, Marvin, Then it was James Morvin, then Melbourne, Head, Smitty, 7464, Smith, 8219, Daniels, Veronica, Michael, Colin, 11879, Boo Alexander is here with us, Valerie, Rena, Claire, Leon, Elton, Beverly, Winston from California, John from Tennessee, Joseph, then it was Sherwin, Chisel Chipper is here, Mark, Paul, then it was Clay, Tyrone, Ralph, Roderick, then it's Rick Ford, Kerry from Maryland, Junior, Magnell, then it was Norbert, Pamela, Westdam, Linton, Marlon is here with us, Dexter, Dawn, Princess Earl, Lamar Springs, Emerson, O'Neill, Anka, Eric from 8218, Como, Patricia, Nigel, Alex, Cheryl, Orville, Kwame, Fred, Abu is Fred was the last man in the schoolyard. Then Abu is the first man there when the door was open. He's a Facebooker. And the Carlton Popo, as usual, Leroy, Wills, and the list goes on and on and on. So yeah, that's what we have for the roll call. Now for the announcements, we tell you we start with the start announcements first. Some time ago, I did tell you about the death of my squad mate, 9417, the 9417, Julian Haynes, right? Funeral take place Thursday, the 28th. So I didn't mention it for a while, but for those of you who are following, he is not buried as yet. Thursday, the 28th, viewing at Sandy's Funeral Home from 10 to 12. Then to Diamond, 7 Days Adventist Church, 14th Avenue Diamond, for service from 1 p.m. Burial at the Grove Diamond Cemetery. They say a wake will be held on Tuesday the 26th, that's tomorrow night, at his residence, 715 Section C, Block Y, Golden Grove, East Bank, Demerara. Then we told you too about the death of Woman Sergeant Stacy Olinda Jarvis. Sorry, that's Jarvis is the person she was married today. She's the daughter of retired Assistant Commissioner Claire Jarvis. That funeral is today. And then we told about the Woman Sergeant Atoya Aris of the Immigration Department. Our regulation number was 20451. She died recently. The night of reflection, we had that. And then the funeral is tomorrow. Funeral August the 26th. Viewing at Sandy's Funeral Home, Port Ryan. That is Sandy's at Port Ryan on the west coast of Demerara from 9 to 10:30. Final viewing at our residence farm village Bank. Funeral service as Farm Wesleyan Church, Farm Public Road, interment at the Good Hope Cemetery. And then I learned this morning of the death of a former member, Cecil King, 7067. The older people might remember Cecil used to be back in the day, Presidential Guard. He was a driver. Then I remember he was transferred. He was at Brigdam for some time. Yeah, I understand that Cecil passed away. Friday, it might have been Friday or sometime then, right? We learned that. And don't let us forget the death of Vaughn, Police Sergeant Vaughn, 516 days and counting since he was killed in the line of duty, they said, and up to now, apart from the initial report, we're not hearing anything more. And these are the people who talk about transparency, We're going to come to that. The president and the Jagdeo and Ikin, they talk about transparency. They do not know the meaning of the word. If they see it there big, big, big on a billboard, they will not know the meaning of the word transparency. They are the least transparent people you can find. Imagine a police sergeant killed in the line of duty, and the squatter who sits there in the office of the commissioner can't face up to the media and give an explanation as to what the reason for the delay. The family wants closure. That is the way you're treating policemen and the family. That is the way. And then you talk about transparency, talk about professionalism, you talk about being unbiased and all sort of things that they don't know about. And then every weekend, fatal accident again. It has been reported that there was a fatal accident yesterday morning at the Mocha Access Road. Some 60-year-old motorcyclist was struck and killed by a car. They said the driver drove away and then he was later arrested yesterday morning, Sunday morning. And this morning, I understand, I saw the picture. I'm praying for those persons that there was an accident, not fatal up to when I saw it, but I said a major accident. Several persons lying on the road seems to be, they said, critical injuries. So we pray for those persons. Let's express condolences to the relatives and friends of those persons who have passed. And for those persons who are injured in that accident, another accident, we wish you a speedy recovery. I'm hoping and praying that those people pull through. But when you look at the images on social media with those persons lying there almost motionless, it doesn't look good. It does not look good. That is what you have. That is what you have. So let's talk about the happier announcements. Um, we have birthday greetings. Today is the birth anniversary of one Miss Quadi online, 9430 Carlton Lewis. You think I would have forget? Today is a birth anniversary, um, and let me announce it and wish him all the best. Today is also the birth anniversary, as we said, birthday of a former member, Lincoln Thompson. Tamo. Last time I saw Tamo used to be in by GNCB there. He had a little business he carried on. I haven't seen him in a long while, but Tamo is celebrating his birthday today. In terms of the advanced birthday greetings, we have no, also today, I forgot to mention, also celebrating today is Lieutenant Colonel retired Leland Saul. Leland, a friend of mine, is observing his natal day today. And advanced birthday greetings are going out to Stefan Noble. Stefan Noble. When I was at Breakdown as the commander, Stefan used to run the bar there, right? He is celebrating a birthday. I think it is tomorrow. I again, birthday, all the best to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future. One more announcement I have to make before I bring Mr. Conway. I want to congratulate retired, I think he was senior soup, Arlington Samuel Sammy on his 50th wedding anniversary. 7104 Samuels on his 50th. You know, when I joined the police in 1974, Sammy was one of the drill instructors. And when I went to the TSU, I joined that pool of instructors. A lot of older police, 7104 Sammy, 7100, no, not 71, 7101. Live Good Martin, we used to call him. Those were older men. 7028, Jack Elvis, and all those people were instructors. The 6700 Ovid Glasgow. They were all my 7151, Roland Young, 6304, Rupert Young. They were all there, and I joined them later in the as instructors. So, Sammy, all the best to you, my brother. All the best to you. Long life, long happy marriage. I gotta congratulate the wife. I haven't seen you guys in a long time, but keep on. You gotta keep on keeping on. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we are going to move on. CC, welcome. Hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I hope the delay in the program did not put you off.
No, nothing at all. It didn't put me off. I had a good weekend, and then my family came back from holiday in the United States and in Africa. So I'm very, very happy. Now, I just want to say a couple of things. Um, I went to the viewing of the daughter of Claire Jarvis, and here again, a beautiful woman approached me, a teacher, says she's a student. Her surname is Michelle, and she always wanted to reach me in person. And we met and we had a nice bit of conversation. But I was looking out for some of my girls from Lamaha Springs. I didn't see Ingrid. I didn't see Marvel. I didn't see Lorraine. I want to suspect that they must have gone to the church for it. Now, I want to shout out happy birthday to Jean Fongafat. Don't get carried away with the name. A former inspector of the Guyana Police Force. She's living in the United States of America. And we have got history. When I went to Myconi in 1973 as a policeman, I met her and her two sisters, Faye and June. Also, I met her mother. Her mother was the person in charge of the health center at Stratcampbell Myconi branch road there. She was a midwife. And she became my mother because I lost my mother before I joined the Guyana Police Force. And then she took me in on, and I remember those three wonderful women, Jean, June, and Faye. Faye was my special. So, Jean, I understand that you want to spend the day quietly, but I know that your children and grandchildren wouldn't allow that to happen. In fact, I am the godfather for one of your daughters. So, I hope tonight you really, really enjoy it, and I hope you'll enjoy many, many more birthdays to come. You have many more candles to blow out. And Arlington Samuel, Sammy. I met Sammy whilst I was in training, and a wonderful person. Celebrating his 50th, his golden anniversary, wedding anniversary. I understand it could have been longer, but he didn't whisper certain words in Eslin ears, or it could have been longer. But Sammy, let me tell you something. And just bear with me a while, please. Let me just talk something. Let me just tell you something about marriage. And I could talk about marriage because I have 40 something years in marriage. Happily married to one person. And let me tell you about marriage. And here's my opening statement. Marriage is like a good Guyanese pepper pot. The older it is, the sweeter it tastes. All you have to do is to warm your pepper pot. And let me talk more about pepper pot. Pepper pot takes a long time to prepare. It's made up of a lot of obstacles. Sometimes you get a beef, you get pork, you get cow foot, all kind of thing there. And it goes through a lot of pressuring. You gotta pressure it so that you can get what you wanted. And then again, that you have to make sure that you store it up. You got to store it up, and when you store it up, make sure you use one spoon to store it up. Because if you use a dirty spoon, it's going to spoil. So get one spoon and make sure it's a good sturdy spoon that ain't bending up, that it wouldn't store up the pepper pot. And also, you need to make sure that you warm it regularly. Warm it, and you need to spice it up too. You gotta spice it up, and you need to warm it up. And the best time to warm it up is before you sleep and when you wake up. And if you feel during the course of the day that you need to warm it up, warm it up. So my advice to you, or my words to you, is that marriage is like a good Guyanese pepper pot. The older it is, the sweeter it is. All you have to do is to warm the pepper pot. And I'm talking from experience.
Talking from experience like a true professional warmer, a true professional warm-upper, right? Now, I saw Como Dennis here, 6184, 6184 Dennis, he talked about the instructors of the TSU back in the 70s. And somebody asked about Hans Patterson. Well, I did not meet Hans 6712 Patterson, because by the time I got to TSU in September of 1974, Hans and others were among the four set of policemen who were seconded to national service. So I never met Hans. I know him well, but he had gone across to national service by the time I got there. I met Ned, 7747, I think was Ned. Yeah, I met those guys there at the TSU. But now we move on. We had a long introduction. Let me move on. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is GECOM. the Guyana Election Commission. I am of the view, my personal view, that GECOM is not ready to deliver a free, fair, and credible elections. I said that before. And I use as an example the fact that GECOM said about 3 weeks ago that there was not going to be any prohibition on cell phones into the polling area. And then they walk that back. Then it says cell phones are banned because cell phones, we know. We have the case of Kashif, I think it was 2011, where when he marked EX to the cup, he took out the photograph and posted it. And we know what goes on. Person, when the votes are bought, the people are being told that you have to show evidence that you vote for us, and only then you're going to get the remainder of your money. So what is the evidence? They go in the polling booth, they mark the X, they take out the phone, they take it out, and then they post it, and they show them. We talked about it. Vote buying. And let me understand. Look around in the environment, you know who can buy vote. Or you know who does buy vote. Right? All right. So GECOM then came up with a ban on the use of cell phone. 2 days before Joint Services about to vote. Joint Services voted last Friday, remember that? I think it was Wednesday, GECOM said ban on cell phones. When we addressed the issue on this program, we said that this ban that they have announced and makes sense. You're banning cell phone, but what happened to other devices that are capable of taking out pictures? And we advised them, we said, look, if you're going to ban, you got to ban devices, all devices which are capable of taking pictures. Cell phone, including iPod, smartwatches, all of those things. So what I did? And we're going to take the praise to that because we spoke about it at length. And then some yesterday or day before yesterday now, they came up with a modified arrangement. But even the modified arrangement, GECOM, and make no much sense. I want to know if these people have any legal person of worth advising them. I say of worth because I suspect they might have legal advisor. But upon it is clear from what they're writing that the people who are putting out these policy documents don't know how to write standard operation procedures. And I'm going to read before, it's a dual function, you know. I am critiquing what they have written, and at the same time, I'm offering advice to them. I don't know if they have enough time to correct the stupidness of the writing. Hear what they wrote. Yeah, smart glasses and all of these things. Hear what they wrote. They said the Guyana Election Commission, GECOM, as a matter of policy, decided to introduce a comprehensive set of measures to prohibit the use of cell phones and other recording devices in polling place. We taking praise to that one. Because we told them from the outset, and it can be other recording devices. Got to be other devices capable of taking pictures. Other devices capable of capturing what we want to style it. But they say, all right, they say other recording devices. Again, I say, when you write these things, you have got to know what you're writing. You got to be specific. Then it goes on, right? This decision, this decisive action is aimed at protecting the secrecy of the ballot, particularly to address existing concerns about the potential for vote selling that is directly linked to the photographing of ballots. The prohibition on cell phones and the use of I'm trying to make out the right thing. The prohibition on cell phones and the penalties for vote selling are rooted in the representations of the People's Act, Chapter 1:03. One, the procedure they are now outlining. And this is for information for all, right? So we're doing a public service at the same time. One, as a voter, when you go to the polling station, you will be asked to turn off your cell phone before you enter the polling station. So if you turn up, somebody can tell you for turn off your cell phone. Good. 2, when you enter the polling station, you will be reminded to turn off your cell phone. So 2, you get a warning, then you're reminded, please turn off your cell phone as you enter the polling station. Because you know, the polling station is the building. But then people might queue up outside, line up outside. So you're going to be warned some stage before you get into the polling place. You're going to be told, and when you get in there, you're going to be told. 3, the presiding officer will keep your national identification card until you are finished voting. He will keep your card. Again, gray, because as I remember the procedure, when you go in, you line up, you get the scrutineers there with all the list and the officers and there, and you call out your name, you show your ID card, they call your name, they call the number, they check to make sure. So at what stage the presiding officer can keep the card? I'm not sure. Maybe they're going to clarify that at some stage. Then they say 4, provisions will be made next to the voting compartment for you to place your phone and other items, including handbags, before you use the voting compartment to vote. So what they're saying, again, follow this thing carefully. You're going to be reminded to turn off your phone. So your phone should be off. I don't know what happened to your iPad and all this everything, right? I don't know what happened to your smart glass and your smartwatch. Then adjusting that, right? All right, but what they're saying now, that before, well, the presiding officer will keep your identification card. So at some stage, I guess you have to hand over to the presiding officer, who will keep your identification card until you have finished voting. Now, hear what they say. Before you enter the place where you can mark your X, the little box there, they're going to get something outside. You got to left your handbag, you got to left your phone, you got to leave all of these things out there. That is what they're saying. 6 says, the presiding officer, 5, the presiding officer and other polling day staff will instruct you to free your hands of all items by placing them next to the voting compartment before you vote. That seems repetitive. That seems you're repeating because they tell you put, and then they tell you now they're going to remind you or something like that. The presiding officer and other polling day staff will instruct you to free your hands of all items by placing them next to the voting compartment before you vote. Again, a lot of rubbish. Free your hands, man. Suppose to find something in your pocket. All items should be taken out and placed there. That you got to be specific with these things. Then it go on to say 6, the voting compartment will be positioned in a manner to allow for GECOM staff and party agents, as far as this is practicable, to observe if you are attempting to use your phone to take out your ballot. Understand the nonsense of these people right here now. You're supposed to leave all your stuff outside. And now they still tell you, right, that the voting compartment will be positioned in such a manner to allow GECOM staff and a party agent, as far as this is possible, to observe if you're attempting to use your phone. Which phone? The phone should be outside. That is what you have said. The phone should be left outside. So how you're looking to see they're using the phone when they get into which phone? Is the magic man what turn flour into cocaine or turn cocaine into flour? Are the police coming in now? Right? That is what's going to happen. You said everything must be left outside. Now you're saying that you're going to look to see they're using the phone inside. Let me continue. If you attempt to take a photo of your ballot, the GECOM staff and party agents will raise an alarm. And any voter observed taking a photograph of his or her ballot paper will result in a formal note being made of the incident, and a report will be submitted to the Ghana Police Force for investigation. Here, look. I can't understand. I can't understand. I can't understand what they're saying. I can't, because they have not said. And this is what, the police, as I've said, you get the man in charge of Operation Watts. He can know much too about these things. But they're following this prohibition by GECOM. The police should have sat down and make out a clear SOP, because the police don't get thrown under the bus with this, The Because when something happens, they'll call the police. And the poor ranks at the place there will not know what to do. Because remember, you get rural constables, you get special constables, you get young policemen who are going to be there, right? They are going to be there. So you have got to get a clear SOP, because if they see somebody with phone, what happens? What happens if a person refuses to hand over to turn off his phone or to rest his phone in this receptacle that you have not mentioned that. That is what we talk about, SOP, standard operation procedures. And then if a person take out, you turn it over to the police to investigate what? To investigate what? Are they breaking any law? Are they breaking any law? If a person refuses to launch his phone or other recording or device, are you going to prevent that person from voting? What are the implications? You come out with this thing last minute, and that is what I'm saying. I don't believe GECOM ready for this thing, because these are things should have been announced, should have been decided on a long time now, and the public should have been made aware. A lot of infomercials and a lot of public awareness, because trust me, people are going to turn up with their phones. Some are likely to refuse to hand over to turn off the phone. People are likely to decide, me and left in it there because I ain't trust nobody. They want to go in with it. I go in it with it because I ain't taking out no picture. That is likely to happen. You have to understand these scenarios, right? You're right, the man get 2-3 phone, get some mango pelter in the pocket there. Well, not the mango pelter, because I know the mango pelter can take out pictures and all that. But the man left the mango pelter out there, and he gone in with some little phone and he taking out the thing. So, all right, if you see him taking out, what happens to the ballot? What happens to this individual? Is he breaking a law? What action should the police take? You're going to call some little constable and say, look, this man refusing to hand over his phone. Look, this man, I think. What the poor police must do. What has he been trained to do? What has he been trained to do? You can arrest the person. You can only arrest if the person commits an offense within your view. What offense would the person have committed? Because let me tell you this, a lot of the presiding officers and these polling day staff, they're going to tell the police, lock up. And some young police and know what's going on, is going to overstep the authority and the bounds. And that is where people like Watts, who in charge of operations, are going to keep calling the name because they get big positions and they don't know squat. I am saying again, from the time GECOM decided with this cell phone thing, overnight, I held the operation positions for years. Overnight, you would have sat down. Of course, you would have sat with them, and you put together a proper SOP, which should have been communicated all over the force. As a matter of fact, you might even write a little note for every policeman working the polling station. He gets something to refer to. Training. This is confusion and chaos. This is last minute confusion and chaos. All because, as I've said before I bring in CC, I am not convinced that GECOM ready to conduct a proper, credible, fair elections. I don't think so. And we're going to talk about the joint services voting because some incidents were reported there. Let me bring in CC. CC, what is your take on this cell phone thing and all of that, and the SOP and all that? Let me hear you on it.
I endorse what you said, and they're talking about cell phone, but then they're not dealing with other electronic equipment that is capable of taking out photographs. And the whole thing is confusing. I would have thought that by now GECOM and the police, they would have sat down, they sit down and they come up with a proper SOP. But apparently they don't know how to write SOP. And let me give them some advice. If you want to know how to write a proper SOP, go to YouTube and type in how to write a SOP. And you can see things coming up. Type in how to write a SOP and you will see the information coming up there. And there what they call a 4P principle in writing SOP. The first P is the purpose, that you explain why this SOP is necessary. The other P, procedure, dealing with how the task is to be performed. Dealing with how the task is to be performed. The third P, you identify who is in charge and their responsibility. Identify who's in charge and responsibility. And for protection, you look at safety. You look at safety and compliance with the various laws. Let me go over purpose. Explain why the SOP is necessary. Procedure. Deal with how the task is performed. People. Identify who is involved and responsibility and protection. You gotta use your safety and compliance with the law. So don't jump about the place and do and write nonsense. And the thing has gotta be clear. You gotta work hard, you gotta kiss. Keep it short and simple, to the point. Be specific, be direct. There mustn't be no room for doubt there. It must be very, very clear. And for me, this should have been a joint effort between the police and GECOM. Well, let's see the police know for the SOP. There's another story there too. So I've seen a lot of confusion. I've seen a lot of police, especially young ones, being very, very confused. And they're gonna hear the presenter say, lock up this man, he coming with a cell phone and all kind of nonsense, and there's chaos and confusion. But they still have a number of days in which they could correct it. The police still got some time to come up with their own SOP. There's GECOM own, but the police has got to get their own SOP to deal with the GECOM's SOP, or things gonna go haywire. So I'm saying, let the police and GECOM discuss quickly, and the police should come up with their SOP to deal with, or they have a joint SOP, or there'll be chaos and confusion. And as you said earlier, Paul, I don't think GECOM ready yet for this election.
Well, one of the things, I agree fully with you, and one of the things you got to remember, that you come up with something which is relatively new to most of the people who are there. They have got to be briefed, they have got to be trained properly. It's not just coming up with the SOP is one, but then you have got to train them. You have got to make sure every single person knows, and not only the ranks who are working at the polling places, right, but the people who are their supervisors as well. Because so when a little police get into something he ain't too sure, he must be able to call his immediate supervisor, who should know and be able to direct him. We should be able to guide that person. Now, a question is asked here by Commissioner Cole. Let me put it up, and it's pertinent. What are the implications if I take a picture of my ballot? Will I be arrested, charged? If you're charged, under which law? The Republic Representation of the People Act. People need to know this. Very valid question, and that is what we're saying. These are things that should have been taught to people, be roll out all the time. But GECOM, all them billions and billions of dollars they get there, and I don't know that they are ready to roll out a credible thing. And talking about that, let me come to the next issue. We had joint services voting on Friday, a relatively small number, because according to them, there was to be 10,000 and something votes, right? They get 10,481 members to vote. The breakdown they gave, 6,909 police, 3,106 soldiers, and 466 prison officers. They were to vote. They said, I think I read yesterday something, they had an 80% turnout. They said the highest turnout. The last time around they had 47, now they have 80, which equates to something like about 8,300 and something people voted, right? Joint services people who voted on that day. I said before, I'm saying again, as I know it, those members who are extracted, the joint services members who did not get the opportunity to vote on Friday for whatever reasons, can still vote on Monday coming. However, they have to go back to wherever they were registered and they're on that list. I know that used to be the procedure. All of these things have to be explained. All of these things have to be explained. Now what happened, and let me tell you, little shocked me, very little shocked me, but I was shocked Friday afternoon when I read that ballot boxes from the Borbies area were being escorted to GECOM headquarters or were being brought down. And if they had escort, were being brought down. And then a mysterious car at LBI ran into the one or more of these minibuses and caused some accident. GECOM was quick to point out that all the documents and all of these things were intact. All the polling materials were intact. Now, as a security man, the first thing I wanted to ask, if you are going to transport ballot boxes from Borbies to GECOM headquarters, why are you using minibuses? Why are you using minibuses? I would have thought, if I had anything to do with it, you would have gotten a vehicle such like an enclosed canter or something like that, where the boxes could have gone in, the boxes could have been secured in that thing, and then you get the agents and all these people following along. But no, several minibuses. And here, if you investigate, you're going to hear who own them minibuses. I have my strong suspicion. I get evidence, but I get suspicion as to who own the minibuses that were hired by GECOM to escort ballot boxes. But right away, says something wrong. You get ballot boxes with votes, cast votes. You bring it down. I don't know how many there were, right? But you get minibuses, several minibuses bringing them down. Why not get some big vehicle where you can lock up, or even some small container? Put everything in there, lock it secure. It's about giving people the confidence that everything is okay. But when you bring them down in minibus, even if you get scrutinized and so on, no wonder you had this accident there on Friday afternoon. Now, then I read yesterday. tell you these people already. I read a post on social media, and I'm going to read the post to you, a short post. It said, trouble at GECOM with its counting and sorting process. After 2 counts at GECOM for the sorting and counting of the discipline services envelopes with the votes, the manual recounts differ from the spreadsheet generated by GECOM IT section. Region 4, the manual count had 2 more envelopes / ballots than the spreadsheet. Region 5 and 10 disclosed that the manual count was 1 less envelope ballot than the spreadsheet generated by GECOM IT. And that is just 8,000 something votes, And I see one of the commissioners jump up until the votes were not being counted. Again, this thing needs to be explained. GECOM should have done a better job in that, because it's not the ballots they're counting. Because the ballots, again, as far as I know, the ballots have to be taken back to whichever region and district and mixed with the other ballots before counting. But what they're doing, they join services, each person who voted, your ballot, your marked ballot is supposed to be in an envelope. Nobody can see where your mark is. But the region should be indicated. That's how I remember it. The region, so that when the time comes on E-Day for counting, these ballots now have to go back to the region. Because remember, when you vote, you're voting for the general election, so you elect a president, and then you're voting for the regional election. So your ballot, based on where you are registered, after you vote, they now will know this many for region 2, this many for region 4, and then they have to put them someplace so that on E-Day, that is the next Monday, they are taken back there, and that is the time when they are going to be opened, mixed with the others, and counted. That is how I know it. But people assume incorrectly that when they talk about this counting that was taking place Saturday, Friday, and Saturday, they were counting the votes. They were counting in other words, they were unsealing these envelopes and count. That is what I know. Me, I know election expert, but I remember, because I was involved in the process as senior police officer, I remember that is what it should be. right? That is what it should be. So confusion again, I say it has to do with the training. And that is why I say GECOM ain't ready yet. Look, let me tell you, let me say this. There's a lot of suspicion with the old process. A lot of suspicion. And therefore, it behoves GECOM to make sure everything is done, all the letters, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Right? You have got to be transparent so that people can understand that you are doing what you're doing is the correct thing. And the only way they can know that, you got to get the public information, education, which I don't think they have done sufficiently. They have not done it because people still confused. People still believe giant service. Look, people still believe members of the discipline service are supposed to get some level of intelligence. I'm telling you, they believe that somehow the government gonna know who they vote for. They were intimidated. They were told that by several persons. We gonna know who you vote for, so you better make sure we look after you, we give you promotion, you better come up or we can take back. All them things happen. All of those things have happened. Till we understand it. The confidence is not there. And then perhaps what make it worse for me, again, I got to talk for myself, I know about others, is that the chairman of the Election Commission has been noticeably silent over the past week or so. They get the deputy CEO, Giddens, I think is his name. He's the man who's doing the talking. I ain't seen the CEO on them. Again, this week got to come. I don't know if you have a PR section. I don't know. You have got to be interfacing with the media, giving information, and try to let people understand what the process is. The same fiasco with the cell phone. Same fiasco with the cell phone. There's so many unanswered questions. So when are you going to answer the questions? When chaos break out? And I remember I was a young superintendent in 1992, October the 5th, and it was misinformation and lack of information which caused the disturbance in the city. I remember well, and PPP know well, and they know my role in that whole arrangement. It was lack of information. People did not know the process. Because I remember at one stage when people said they are disenfranchised, they ain't getting for vote. They tell them go to Crow Street where the GECOM office was. They're going to get for vote there. I remember I was there with the late Jai Cole and Collins, who was the chairman of GECOM at the time. I was there very much in the thick of things. Again, voter education. Now, when you have to mark your ballot, I'll tell you, mark it against this sign or mark. That is not sufficient. There is a party can do that. But GECOM has a responsibility to make sure that the entire process is clearly spelled out to everybody. Because, you got some people, no matter what you do, some of them don't get much topside, and therefore they don't understand the process. But the reasonable average man must know. Because look, for example, I hear people asking, what happens if with a blind person? Our blind person, a person who's visually impaired, will get the vote. How can they see tomorrow? All of those things should be explained. But they haven't done, even if they did, they haven't done a good job. They have not done a sufficiently good job. Let me bring Mr. Kami, we can close this and we can move to the next subject. I know this has generated a lot of interest, but we're going to talk about it again. We have other programs before E-Day, and we will try. As I've said, this is what we do here this afternoon with this, is part of assisting GECOM for you to understand, give them information as to how they should do the SOP, and try to pass on information to the general public. CC, over to you.
Okay, that accident on the East Coast, is the police hiding something? Up to now, they cannot give any information about the vehicle that was involved in the accident, the vehicle number, the owner, or the driver. I saw photographs in the dailies with the three minibuses where they show you the minibus and they show you the license number on those vehicles, but this mysterious one. And then if you're escorting, I wonder if they had siren doing the escort. And if you get a number, you could always get, did the driver fled the scene? You know, so many things appear to be going wrong there. And then listen to the traffic chief. He said it was an incident. He talked about an incident. Not no accident, incident. And they're not coming forward. So there's a lot of distrust going on in place there. The public, the little confidence that the public got for the police force is going away. It's going away. And as you mentioned, Paul, what about the security of those the boxes? You put them in a minibus. You can't get a proper vehicle, a secure vehicle in a minibus. These are indications that things gonna happen, and I hope that they take action. They say common events to cast shadows.
Right. Let me come off of that. We're gonna come back to that in a while, but there's an issue that I really want us to discuss this afternoon. I'm referring to this reprehensible, to use a word that a certain man used frequently, incident where we saw Brian McIntosh, known as Mad Max, Brian Max, being assaulted live on live video by Mikhail Rodriguez, known as Guyanese critics. This incident occurred on Saturday. I think it's viral all over the place. And there are lots to be gleaned or to talk about from that incident. It would appear, based on, I'm saying based on what was related, Critic had his program, and somehow he had a conversation, a discussion with McIntosh, Brian Max. And let me say this, I don't brief for Max or anyone, but I'm talking as a former senior law enforcement officer. I think Brian Max was invited here to go and collect some money. We saw that on the video. He went there, a sum of money was on the table, and they had this heated exchange, expletives and so on. I believe the manner in which Brian Max approached this whole thing was wrong. I believe for him to be all in insults and abuse in the manner was wrong, right? That's my belief. Then we all saw that Critic got up and Critic struck him. And to those who saying, Max is saying that at some stage he was struck with a firearm. I see those who representing Mac jump out and say, well, what we see, there's no firearm. Well, we have seen the whole incident. We did not see the whole incident. I agree that the part we saw, he's saying that when he struck him, his hands were bare. But given the nature of the injuries, or the injury as displayed by Brian Max, couldn't be Jan alone. Let me understand this thing clearly. Could not be his hand. He must have used some instrument to do that. Let me pause. This is not a forced incident, violent incident involving Mikhail Rodriguez, known as Guyanese critic. And according to what his lawyer said today in court, in asking for bail, is that he had a current matter before the court. We saw the matter with him and this guy in the disco, where he used a firearm and he bloodied the man. Somebody lashed, apparently been in some club, and somebody lashed Critic in the head. And Critic assumed was this man, and he beat the man badly. They end up charging the man, just like today, end up charging the man and jump charging Cricket. We know what happened to the matter. I have not heard anything further in the matter, except today it has been reported that the lawyer said, Critic lawyer said, that this matter is still engaging the attention of the court. Now, all right, I wrote something, was the same Saturday on social media, Investigation 101. First of all, what we saw on the social media is what we see. But unless the victim, who would have been Brian Max, made a report to the police hands would have been tied, right? You got to see things on the social media, but you need a formal report from someone. In this case, it would have been Brian Max. Once the report was made, you were required to make an occurrence. You make an occurrence of what the report is. right? Now, once that is done, the next step is to make sure, because there was visibly signs of blood and bleeding, you have to take the victim, you have to escort the victim to get medical attention. Let me repeat that. You have to escort the victim to get medical attention. Not give a medical form and say, go to the doctor. No, that is not the correct procedure. You have to escort. A policeman has to escort the victim to get medical attention. You go with your medical form. When the form is written up by the doctor can examine the victim, the patient, write in what injuries and so on. The police retains that. There's a police document. You take it back to the station. And I said then too, that once you've done that part, then you have to get a detailed statement from the victim. You got to get a statement. In other words, you have to make sure that what he's saying establishes one or more offenses. You can't just go. So, well, once that is done, you have to go and arrest the person against whom this allegation is made. You now have grounds to do that. You have an occurrence, you have a statement, you have a medical arrest. At some stage, I understand Critic went to the station. I don't know if he was arrested. I don't know if he was invited. And I learned from my source, or sources, guys, more than one, that they went to Albertown Police Station. There is Critic and Brian Max, right? Brian Max get treatment, he get stitches and all that. And my sources have told me that Critic get released, police released Critic and bail long before they released Brian Max. Eventually, they put Brian Max on station bail too. And why? Because they say Brian Max abused Ossie Rogers and he abused Critic. And they were charged for court this morning. And they were transpired this morning. They say Rodriguez and McIntosh charged. Michael Rodriguez, also known as Guyanese Critics, and Brian McIntosh, called Brian Max, were charged earlier today, Monday the 25th of August 2025, for the following offenses. Rodriguez was charged with unlawful wounding committed on McIntosh. McIntosh was charged with provoked breach of the peace and abusive language committed on Ossie Rogers. McIntosh was also charged with provoked breach of the peace committed on Rodriguez. They appeared before senior magistrate at the Georgetown Magistrate Court, where they all pleaded not guilty. Rodriguez was granted bail in the sum of $100,000, while McIntosh was placed on $15,000 bail on each charge. The matter is adjourned to the 15th of September. They said 2024, but it's 2025 they mean, at 8:30 hours for disclosure and statement. So the man who we see get beat up end up with 3 charges, minor as they are, but 3 charges, because them is minor charges. Them charges even carry jail time, nothing at all. Provoking breach of the peace, abusive language. Minor offense. Minor. They're not even considered as crime. Misdemeanors, they're considered as no crime. Our cricket is charged with a crime. Wounding is a crime. Right? Wounding. I'm saying they say he's charged with wounding and he put on $100,000 bill. Now, why wounding? Given what we saw, given the medical. Well, I shouldn't say given the medical, because I understand that the police went ahead and charged Critic for wounding without even receiving the medical. That is what my sources have told me. Now, how do you do that? How do you charge without getting a medical? Because I said in the post on Sunday, I think it was, that for you to determine the charge to be, or put it this way, the charge to be instituted will be determined by what is written on the medical. That is how you determine what charge to institute in a case like that. So if based on what the doctor write, suppose the doctor write that this man likely to have permanent injuries based on what he examined. In some cases, the doctor write that this injuries was dangerous to life. Wounding is a charge. There's other charges. There are other, I'm gonna tell Mr. Conway, I gotta give a piece of that. Other charges that should have been instituted. And the fact, let me say this, and I talking police in it, right? The fact that Critic has previous incidents of a violent nature should be enough. I don't know if the prosecutor applied for bail to be refused. I doubt it, right? I doubt it. But the fact that he had previous violent incident of that nature, bail should have asked for bail to be refused, right? People have been refused bail on less charge. The next thing, the previous incident that I referenced earlier, a firearm was used. This man is now alleging that a firearm was used. Did they seize the firearm? Did they seek to examine the firearm to see if perhaps they talk about a fancy lab, because if a firearm was used and he was struck with a firearm, then you could get evidence on the firearm to support that. Evidence is going to be there. But I'm sure they didn't do all of that. They didn't do all of that, but they jumped the charge max, and they jumped, and one charge for critic. One charge for critic, wounding, and 3 charges for the man who, from all indication, was a victim. And I see a lot of people writing a lot of shit. Apparently, some time ago, critic had a cutlass brandishing, and was he threatening? Well, I don't even know if it's a threat. Using some words against the Minister of Education. The fact that it wasn't reported, there's no threat. And they're saying all sorts of crap they're talking. But I want to say this. The good Lord has blessed me with 3 scores and 10. Right? So therefore, they say, Mr. Geriatric. Some of them say he's an old man. And I tell you something. Anytime, any one of them attempt to do that to me, 3 score and 10, I think I can go home. If the good Lord says it's time for you to come home, I will go. But we want to tell the Lord, please let some people come with me. I will want to ask him to take some of them, for him to call some of them along with me. No, but that ain't happening to me, sir. It ain't done in, sir. Let me understand. It is advantage. And again, I say I will not brief for Brian Max, because given the circumstances, I believe it was reckless of Brian Max to go there by himself. That is my view. It was reckless of him to go there. Having regards to the fact that it's not the first time they assault him, they beat him with baseball bat on UG Road some time ago. People who were identified as PPP supporters beat him with baseball bat. So he ought to be more aware. He ought to be more security conscious. And if you go in there, you got to go with backup. You got to go with backup, or you go there alone. But again, I say, you touch me, it ain't done, so. There's going to be no done as you like. There's not a threat to anybody. I'm just telling you how I feel. I'm just saying how I feel. Right? That is advantage. I'm going to use words. Right? I know when you're growing up, they tell you words are wind, but blows is unkind. I'm going to use words. Inappropriate words, I would think. Right? Inappropriate words. But that can justify the action that we saw there. That can justify the action that we saw this man get beat down. And it's not only saying the thing was live streamed, and then the injuries that result from that. But this police force that we get, so politicized, so biased, that is why they did what they did. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. See, you as a commander, any wounding charge, a critic, unlawful wounding, what happened to more serious charges, man?
Well, wounding carry a whole lot of different charges. It could be inflicting grievous bodily harm. It could be wounding with intent. And I don't know how they can charge and then get no medical certificate. We hear anything about no medical certificate. And what we saw on that video, I mean, people say, talk but don't touch me. You could talk what you want to, but don't touch me. Touching is out of it. And there's this critic beat up the man. We saw part of it. Not the full thing. And a bear wounded. And we said wounded, say, well, wounded is the breaking of the continuity of the skin causing blood to flow. A man give a little cough and blood start to flow, they go say is wounding. But we have other serious wounding. As I inflicting grievous bodily harm, you could get wounding with intent, felonious wounding, a whole set of wounding and just bare wounding. No. And then again too, critics understand is a licensed firearm holder. The information from the witness is that firearm was used. Did the police seize the firearm? And did they write critic for him to show cause why the firearm shouldn't be revoked? Was that firearm seized? They had a previous incident in the bar. Was that firearm also seized? And then how in heaven's name, based on how critics behave, that you could give critic a gun? Is licensed to kill? How could critic be issued with a firearm? His temperament, his mentality, and he get firearm, fetching firearm, and then the charge against Mark, and it appears to be provoking breach of the peace, section 141 of the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act. And let me read for you section 141, provoking breach of the peace, and there are several sections. Here we say, everyone who makes or use any threatening, abusive, insulting, or obscene language, gesture, or behavior, or says or signs any insulting or offensive song or ballad with intent to provoke anyone else to commit a breach of the peace, or where a breach of the peace may be occasioned, or B, I'm going to read the others, makes use of any abusive, insulting, obscene, or profane language, or says or sing any insulting or offensive song or ballad to the annoyance of any person in any place, or C, sends or deliver any person any obscene writing, print, engraving, picture, or otherwise representation, or calls any person by a name other than his own with intent to insult or annoy him, or E, with intent to insult or annoy any person, knowingly publishes or causes to be published in any newspaper or false notice or advertisement of any birth, marriage, or death, or F, commits any breach of the peace not deserving of a more severe punishment. So maybe it's on one section, I know section A or B, which is section the charge mark on, but there's a provoking breach of the peace, a very what we call minor offense. A minor offense, but maybe because of critic. And yes, I agree that he behaved bad. He used words that he had not me use, but then at the same time, with all the words that I would use, nobody mustn't touch me. Don't touch me. If you touch me, you take what coming to you. But the whole thing, sound like a mockery to the police in investigation. You're charging man, you don't get medical certificate when there's visible signs of injury thing there. And then you sending away critic before me who get the serious injuries. All I do is talk and I get the injuries, Policing, I know the police. And then critic is a licensed firearm holder. What happened to the gun? The gun came into play according to Mark. The gun came into play. Did the police seize the gun? And in addition, did they ask him to write why? The state reason why the gun shouldn't be revoked. But animal farm in play.
Well, let me say this. I have to make two comments there. One, whether the firearm was used or not. The licensed firearm, whether the firearm was used or not in this incident, he has displayed a temperament which is sufficient to ask him to show cause why the license should not be revoked. Not I use a gun, but the type of Intemperate habits. That is one of the things that the 1605, I think it is, the Firearm Act, that if a person displays intemperate habits. I remember when I used to write show cause letter, that is what I used to write straight out of the volume. He has displayed intemperate. You can even make reference to previous incidents and ask him to lodge his firearm, right? Show cause why it should not be revoked. So the police, them who listen, they ain't gonna do nothing because the police is politicized. They're gonna get nosy for tell them don't bother with them and the end thing. That is what is happening. And the next thing, I understand that this charge of wounding is a summary charge they instituted against critic. Why not an indictable charge? Why not an indictable charge? Well, I guess you're going to say because you don't see the medical and so on. Well, that is the reason why you should not have instituted the charge, because this is an incident that occurred Saturday morning. Saturday. And you don't tell up your investigation so that by Monday morning, both parties appear in court. People have been known to spend the 72 for less than that. And one of the things you tell them, well, you don't give bail per weekend. So if you're arrested on Saturday, you're expected to stay there until Monday morning. But not so. And then critic on a thing I saw a while ago, telling people he was treated like everybody else. He went in the lockup and that. No, you were not treated. If you were treated like everybody else, you would have spent the weekend in the lockups at Alberton or wherever else. You would have spent the weekend there. Your firearm would have been in the possession of the police as you go about showing reason why the license to the firearm should not be revoked. That is what should happen. But tell you, monkey know which limb to jump on. You know the type of people critic abusing? You know the type of people he beating up? Physical abuse talking about, he mouth around you cuss anybody. But when it comes to physical interaction, you see who he taking them out on? But you know, one of these days, and this is not a threat critic, this is a warning. You might run up to the wrong body who feel you ain't got nothing to live for. You might run up to the wrong person. So I'm cautioning you. Not about threatening, I'm threatening you, cautioning you to be extremely careful how you rush up. But you know, a monkey always slim for jump. So you run from people who you believe you could beat up and you can bully and so on. But you might miscalculate. You might miscalculate. So let me warn you. Let me warn you. Now let me move on. There's a matter that I saw there. You know, this is going to go into a lot of things coming up with this election till we get a little time. I read a most disturbing release yesterday. I'm talking about the cocaine at Ogle. The cocaine at Ogle. And the thing difficult to read, yeah? I don't know who put out this release, but the release that is given by some law enforcement agency is difficult to read, how it is structured. Well, let me tell you, Port Kaituma resident transported suspected cocaine on domestic flight to Ogle. That's what the authorities, right? It goes on to say, a Port Kaituma resident was on Sunday morning arrested in connection with the alleged discovery of approximately 11 kilograms of cocaine that he accompanied on a domestic flight to the Eugene F. Correa Ogle International Airport. Guyana Revenue Authority customs officer, agents, and customs anti-narcotics unit and the Guyana Police Force were involved in arresting Junior Anthony Graves after he allegedly refused to have his baggage searched and continue walking outside. The officer in charge for custom, and they named the man, the officer in charge, shouted, "Sir, sir," but Mr. Graves ignored him and kept walking. The interception of Junior Anthony Graves resulted in the seizure of 11 brick-like parcels containing a whitish powdery substance suspected to be cocaine. The matter was formally transferred to the police narcotics branch for continuation. End of quote, the officials said. Authorities also seized $743,000 Guyana dollars and one cell phone. Well, they say seized. They say from me, but we assume that they seized it from the same person. Mr. Graves of Port Kaituma waterfront arrived at about 10:30 a.m. at the airport in possession of one backpack and one brown box. After Mr. Graves, 44, continued, the custom officer in charge, assisted by police and immigration officers, gave chase. After he continued, they mean when they call you and he continued walking. That's what they said. So it hard for he gave chase. Officials said that Mr. Greaves approached an ogle taxi. He opened the vehicle door, dropped the box inside, and began running. The custom officer in charge, according to the official, continued the pursuit, while the police and immigration rank pursued in another taxi. The box was left in the taxi by Mr. Greaves. The box that was left in the taxi by Mr. Greaves was secured by other custom officers on duty and placed in the customs area. Mr. Greaves was subsequently intercepted at the Ogle Access Road, Main Road traffic light. He was escorted to the area in Mr. the Carly man name, in the man present, with police and immigration ranks in attendance. A senior official of one of the agencies said, Kanu officer, the name the man here again, who observed the commotion from the front check-in scanner, later joined the escort party. Searches conducted in the presence of Kanu police and GRA officials revealed that there were 11 brick-like parcels, 5 wrapped in black plastic and 6 wrapped in brown tape. Police made a small incision into one parcel, which revealed a whitish substance suspected to be cocaine in it. Now we got a lot of stuff to unpack here. I don't know why, for the life of me, you got a matter like this where cocaine is seized, 11 kilograms of cocaine seized. Why are you naming the people involved? Not the suspect. They name the custom officer in charge. They name the Kanu rank in charge. Why? You are exposing these people to danger. This is drug running. Man got catch with 11 kilogram of cocaine. And the naming the custom officer was on duty, Ukali. The naming the Kanu officer. You are exposing these people to danger. Why do they continue to do this nonsense, according to my late friend Nylan? Why? You want to tell me you couldn't give a release without identifying the persons who are involved in this operation? You really want to tell me that is a level of intelligence you all have? That you're exposing? When you talk about drugs, it's a serious thing. And if this man cut up the run, is there? Chances are he's likely to be targeted. He's likely next to the targeted because you name E. You name him. He's big all over the thing. The name of the man who was in charge, the custom man who in charge. The name of the Kanu man who intercepted. And let me tell you all this too, as for policing. Here are all them people who said this body intercept and that body. Y'all better get the nexus right, you know. Y'all better get the nexus right. If you don't know where it's nexus, Google it. The chain of custody. Get chain of custody right. Because this body collect from care and that body. A warning, a training, a teaching. Chain of custody in matters like these are very, very important. Because remember, based on what you all say, you all see the man drop a box. That is what you are saying. You see the man drop some box in some car. Oh, what if they hold the car man to question the car man if this was something arranged? What level of involvement he has in it? Yeah, Colin, they're putting people and the family at risk by naming the person. And I'm annoyed as a former law enforcement officer to see the level of stupidity, the issue of release and the naming the people. And I want you all to remember where this cocaine coming from. This cocaine come from Region 1, which is the cocaine capital of Guyana. So while you have people running with cocaine from Region 1, traveling, and let me say this. Let me say this. I just said repeatedly, and the island vexing me, repeatedly. The only people who does get catch the first time is young girls. Y'all know what I mean. The first time, the only people, let me repeat that, who does get catch the first time they try a thing is young girls. And when this man get catch it, I don't believe it's the first time. I am believe it's the first time eating. And when you see how the operation take place, that maybe who he was expected, who should have been there to wave him on, was not there at that time. That is how I just think. There's the police training in me. That is the police training. I can't believe. The man come from Region 1. They say he travel from Port Kaituma. Who in charge of Region 1? Christian Dat Romana, Senior Superintendent. What is he doing? Look. Christian Dat Romana, last week, Friday or something like that. This is him here. They were posing red cup. The police are on there posing red cup. A drink. They're sending a message. People fetching the cocaine, and that is what they are posing doing. Remember, 4.4 tons of cocaine last year in the same Region 1. And when we said that run is still continuing, y'all don't believe? Evidence here now. This is 11 kilograms of cocaine. This man coming on a commercial flight. He's coming out on a commercial flight. I am of the view, that is my personal view, that the man had some arrangement. He may have had some arrangement. And the person or persons who were to allow him free passage may not have been there. Something wrong. All of y'all must investigate. Investigate to see if there was a change in shift or anything like that. Investigate all that. If you really want to talk about investigation, investigate that. So you get Ramana and them at Region 1. They're drinking a red cup. They're locking up Asudin Mohammed Win people driving around the place and advertising meeting, locking them up for nice nuisance. People moving the other day, I think it was over the weekend, some day there, pulling 3 buses that he supported. That is what they're doing. That is how political they are. And to deal with drugs from the drug capital of Guyana, Region 1, no, they weren't dealing with that. Look again, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. So they start up there, they're showing off their red cup. They're showing off. But I'm going to show them off. Y'all days going to be numbered. Because this is the level of unprofessionalism that we've been talking about. And then again, the extended squatter, only about a week ago, he tell them, oh, police must be professional. They must, and some other word he used. He knows not the meaning of this word because you have policemen. He talk about professionalism. And they got policemen, we talk about it here only yesterday at rally. The policemen wearing the PPP shirt. So when he can talk about being professional, who will respect the police under those circumstances? And again, we say you're free to back whichever political party you want to back. You're free to do so. But when policemen wearing uniform associated with political parties, well, not parties, because it's only one party. They're there where any police dare wear any green thing which is associated with the APNU, or dare wear anything associated with Asudin Mohammed. We saw a mere handshake by a consul in Region 1. Immediate transfer to Region 6 from one end of the country to the other end of the country. A mere handshake. And you get people wearing, posing openly, serving members of the force. You get the ADC, a lieutenant colonel in the army, they wear political uniform and walk around the place. How can people respect them? That is the question I want to ask. How can they be respected? So when you go to a station now and you see one of these people, let me say you supporting some other party, what type of what type of confidence you're gonna have that they're gonna treat you fairly, especially if you're going to make a complaint of one of the comrades? That is what you have. So the cocaine flowing, and them are drinking out the cup. The cocaine flowing and they're drinking out the cup. That is what is happening. Let me bring in CC to show CC want to say something about it. CC, cocaine flowing and the commander and them drinking out the cup. And remember, this is a regular commercial flight. I understand that this cocaine coming out of. Have you say, my brother?
Yeah, well, the thing is that Region 1, the cocaine capital of Guyana, the epicenter, we had the 4.4 tons. And of all places, Port Kaitumo, the waterway there, things coming and going submersible, semi-submersible vessel, finding all kind of thing there. And they ain't get no systems in place. No proper systems in place to prevent the thing. Or they were already bought. We expect that that certain things will be put in place in terms of those commercial flights in and out. In terms of large packages coming in and out, nobody in searching anything, nobody in examining anything. And where is the police? The police don't check aircraft, sorry. See what coming in and what going out. No check on the police there. Port Kaichumo, the main port of the cocaine. We had the commander from Region 1, 4.4 tons of cocaine, the US CIT. And what they do? They put it on administrative leave. They put on administrative leave. The man in charge of the subdivision get promoted. And the Sandy ASO in charge of Port Kaichuma get promoted. The ASO in charge of Matthews get promoted. And nobody put in no checks and balances on those commercial flights. Watch when I was commander ENF division, I don't like to boast, but I had a plane get hijacked from Latam, and I went somewhere in Brazil, like Edward Shirley. Edwards, I think, was the person there. And I met with the aircraft owners. And we put in a system dealing with persons traveling to the various locations with firearm. I don't know if that procedure is there. Person leaving, persons entering firearm. We had a system in place there. Could they police, present police, get system in terms of searching people, searching package, checking on those aircraft that entering and leaving? I don't know. But the thing is frightening. And maybe it's business as usual. Things going on as Paul you say. Maybe somebody who should have been there to pass the thing wasn't there. Therefore things went haywire. Well, it's high time they look at Port Kaichumo. Look at the Region 1. Region 1. The cocaine smuggling, the drug smuggling, the fuel smuggling, it flourishing. And the police are actively involved. Man coming out with a big package. Nobody in checking it. Nobody in and checking on it. Let me see where I get it by. No. Declare this thing here. But no, it's flowing. And more gonna pass. As long as the money flowing, more gonna pass, Paul.
Yeah, you talk about Region 1 being the capital, the drug capital in Guyana. But it's not we saying that. You talk about the sanction. Let me play a tape for y'all. Listen to this carefully.
This media house conducted a search of the US Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control OFAC database for a Mr. Himnauth Saw. This is what we found. We found Himnauth Saw. Male, born June 3rd, 1998. Address is Cane Grove, Guyana. Nationality Guyana. Passport number R02931133. Program: illicit drugs. Guyana has long served as a key transshipment hub for cocaine, trafficked from South America to the United States, Europe, and the Caribbean. Traffickers exploit the region's rivers, jungles, and proximity to the Caribbean, using Guyana and Suriname's ports, often aided by corruption, for maritime smuggling via narco-submarines. Additionally, small aircraft transport cocaine from Colombia and Venezuela to illegal airstrips in Guyana, particularly in the Barimawaini region, where drugs are hidden in underground bunkers before being flown abroad. After the US sanctioned Senior Superintendent Himnauth Saw and 3 other Guyanese nationals for drug trafficking, President Irfan Ali announced that Guyana has requested detailed information from US officials to support local investigations. The US Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, in coordination with multiple federal agencies, accused Saw of facilitating cocaine trafficking from South America through Guyana, while serving in Region 1, Barimawaini. Sarr, who was linked to a massive 4.4-ton cocaine bust near an illegal airstrip in September 2024, has been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. President Ali emphasized that strong bilateral cooperation with the US continues, especially in port and border security.
And we've been working on strengthening security at every level. Our borders, recently we've upgraded the security at the airport, investing in new scanners and other technology that would help us to strengthen our security. We're also investing in border patrol system. With the US, we're working on the port security and the border security. So we have been having a lot of success. Now, in relation to the sanctions and the police officer, there are a number of things that will happen, of course. The police officer will have to proceed on administrative leave. I've already spoken to the ambassador and requested all the information that is available so that we can proceed with action. But I know there have always been tremendous partnership. You remember that Boston Region 1 was a strong partnership. So there has been partnership, sharing of information, and I'm sure there was engagement from the security front. The US has been discussing with us. We've been working together on this security this year. And the US has been talking to us on various initiatives to target persons who are involved, whether in formal and informal setting. Police Service Commission and so send me the administrative leave. The investigation will be ongoing. So you have to launch an investigation, but you have to have the information.
The government of Guyana and the Home Affairs Ministry reiterated their commitment to combating drug trafficking and pledged further action based on the information received from US authorities.
An operation of this kind couldn't have been done without some local help. But of course, we think that this is a major operation being done by persons from overseas, near neighboring countries. And the investigations are on the way.
No. No, I've not received any complaint. And so what I'll do now that you're telling me this, because I saw something in social media this morning, what I'm going to do, I'm going to engage James, he's right over there. And so I'll ask him to brief you so you can get a better understanding of who involved and who not involved. That's why I'm saying I don't know. And if that's the case, there will be an investigation. I just said that to you.
Well, we have a DEA presence in Guyana. And we have a close working relationship with the U.S. government and with the law enforcement agencies in the United States of America. I've not seen, I'm here at a press conference. There was an expectation that the sanction entities would have, or the additional sanctions would come earlier, but apparently they did now. And so I've not seen their names. You said it's relation to drug trafficking. I would like, I don't mind commenting on it, but I would like to just read what it is.
Please remember to subscribe to our channel.
You already did for yourself. Some of the things that they say they only set your blood pressure. September, almost a year coming since this thing happened with Sarr. Almost a year. And what? The man the home joint pay, man. The man is at home joint pay. And I guess they're waiting on this. They say next PPP government will establish anti-corruption unit. Next PPP government. Fully enforce access to information act. That's what they say in the manifesto. All these allegations of corruption. All the allegations of corruption. And they're waiting next PPP government. Next PPP government. When that can be. Let me make sure. That's why I said there's even more reason. All of us should make sure, should vow that this government, they have done enough. Corruption, there's a reputation we get around the world. Cocaine, corruption, kickbacks, all that, this is what's going on. Road debts. fair. People, look, I had an interaction with a former member of the military not so long ago. The man tell me, I was very, very concerned. The man said he's frightened for even come on the program and make a comment because he travels to Guyana once a year and he wants the Rasi. That is the fear that is generated. Imagine that. A man is frightened to come on this program and comment. He said he looks at the program and he don't comment. The reason why he don't comment is because he travels to Guyana every year and he want the Rasi when he go there. That's the type of fear that they have engendered. And they're talking about another term. Look, I get so much to talk about that, but I don't want to start it and don't think. I don't want to start it. Imagine that. The man put it up again, I put it for Yasi. Like the next PVP government will establish anti-corruption unit. You're in government for 23, plus you get the next 5, 28, and you end up more. And a matter of fact, corruption become more rampant. I said this without any fear of contradiction. The evidence is there. The evidence is there. This PPP government is the most corrupt. The evidence is there. Let me give you some of the evidence. Barajagdi or Sugate. In case you all know where Sugate, we can play it a little later. Let me play it now. Barajagdi or Sugate. That is corruption. That is corruption.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su. Oh, Su. My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
That is one. No investigation. Corruption allegation against Bharat Jagdeo, the vice president. No attempt to have that investigated. None. Recently, we see corruption allegations against the president. No investigation. And again, I say, in fairness to them, these are allegations. And as I know, the Constitution of Guyana provides for a person to be innocent until proven guilty. So they are innocent. But one would have thought that given the positions they hold, that they would have caused a proper, thorough investigation to be done. Invite some credible, reputable organization to do investigation because I know that I'm innocent. Nothing. You get ministers are accused of being involved, of being corrupt. Ministers of the government. Of course, we know the ministers of religion too, right? But ministers of the government involved in corruption. You have a senior police officer, Brutus, 252 criminal charges. They brought the charges against him. They brought 252 criminal charges against a police officer. We just saw a police officer, senior police officer who was at the time in charge of the cocaine epicenter of Guyana, Region 1, Barima Winey, sanctioned by the U.S. government almost a year now. What have they done? The president said they're waiting. He talked to the U.S. ambassador and they're waiting on information and all of that. They're waiting for information. That must be like them information. You know, when you're a little boy, had a good country day, you get some sore or you get some ulcer or something like that. And then they say you get information. That's the type of information they're talking about. That, and you have so many other incidents. Cocaine, police headquarters, supposed to be the most secure place there is. Cocaine turned to flour. Police headquarters, cocaine turned to flour. Ikin, the commissioner of police, confessed to taking $8.5 million from Amir Ahmad from Sheriff Security. They charged Brutus $60 million from the police consumers. And then the person said that the money was delivered to Brutus in Ikin's office. $60 million Guyana dollars. Money that was intended to repair the consumer. Somehow, the incompetent person together was instructed to encash the check and hand over the cash to Brutus. That is what they are alleging. That is what. I know when I came in, thanks Derek for reminding me, when I came into power, they had Sarah. An organization was going after corrupt people and all the illegally gotten gains from the government. They disbanded. Even with the gold smuggling. Because when PPP came into office in 2020, when they returned to office in 2020, they had an established procedure to deal with gold that has to be shipped and so on. It involved a lot of agencies, the police, KANU, GCMC, all of those forces were involved, GRA, all them. They dismantled that. Arrangement. They think it's too tight. They dismantle it in favor of certain people who they fall out with now and certain people who they're in bed with. So what they're talking about corrupt? What they're talking about corrupt? This is the most corrupt government in every aspect. I read to you about the car story where people detailing, in other words, the shining up car and so on. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, one vehicle. Ministry of Agriculture and other ministries as well. That is not corruption. You tell me if that is not corruption. Right? The permanent secretary of Ministry of Home Affairs sanctioned for corruption. If you say corruption in the dealing with gun license, in dealing with contract, that is what the US said about May Thomas, the PS. I am saying this without any fear of contradiction. This government is the most corrupt. And for that reason alone, we should ensure that they never return to office. We should ensure, all of us who are right-thinking people. And I put up this quote. CC, I'm getting a little Martin just now. Look what I say. This is a quote. Let me make sure I can read it properly, and I will read it too. Right? So, by endorsing a party widely accused of corruption, extrajudicial killing, money laundering, and the transfer of national wealth to select few families, these people have revealed not a political shift, but a serious lapse in character. Opportunism may offer short-term rewards, but no one ever trusts a turncoat, and history won't either. So we talking about people like Bond and all them turncoats. Nobody can trust them. No, because you stitch for one, you're going to stitch for anybody else. But you want to tell me, any decent right-thinking people looking at the evidence, don't listen to what Slow said, don't listen to what Conway said. Look at the evidence that is there, and you tell me that you can go and say that these people must get a second term? That Irfan Ali must get a second term? Allegation is made against Irfan Ali. Irfan Ali has been accused and found to have violated the Constitution of Guyana. I took him to court, and the court ruled in my favor. My lawyer was Mr. Selwyn Peters, who now singing another tune. And I got to deal with certain comments. Me and Selwyn is friend. Let me understand this. But that wouldn't prevent me from commenting or criticizing some of the comments he has made. Because he is a man who gallantly fought in the court and got a ruling that the president violated the Constitution. And Selwyn, you want to tell me in all honesty, you can come now and say that this president who has violated the Constitution, who has been accused of corruption, should return to office? Selwyn, something wrong, my brother. Something is definitely wrong when you're going to make a statement like that. And I allow you to get away with it. I'm not going to allow you to get away with it. We can still be friends and be assured certain things we talk in confidence and so on. I remain confidential. That between me and you, confidence, lawyer, client, and friend relationship, that will remain there. But I can't support some of the views that you recently have been exposing. Let me understand this thing clearly. Corrupt government. And let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to, again, the next month I want to talk about. CC, let me hear you on this corruption thing, man.
Paul, you said it all. And let's go on with the other matter. You said it all. And I can't contradict you. It's corruption, weaponizing the police force, and doing all kind of things.
Corruption, the weaponization, the police force, and all that. You got the same Ramana, who that region one, the cocaine capital. This is the man who arrests a lawyer for advising her client not to sign or not to give a statement to the police. He arrested her. The court found in favor of the lawyer. The lawyer is now magistrate and what happened? Promotion. They are rewarding corruption. It's birds of a feather. They flock together. I gotta always take with time and pronounce that word. F-L-O-C-K. If you hear it any other way, that is you. But I saying they flock together. And if I get tight tongue and it sounds like something else, it's not me. It is not me. Now let me move on to the next subject. Fire. Fire in your wire. Calypso Rose sang that song many, many years ago. Fire, fire, in me wire, wire. Fire. Kwakwani School burned down. Yesterday morning, I think Kwakwani Secondary School in Region 10 burned down. Burned down. I'm waiting to hear what is the cause of fire, because they say that prior to the fire, they say a lot of fluctuation in current and island everything is taking place. But that reminds, look, I made a note of some of the schools. Christchurch, burned down. They say it's arson. Not me, fire service says arson. Up to now, they have not found the arsonist. Recently, Chris Loke Labour College, fire. They say it's arson. They haven't found the arsonist as yet. You get Multi some time ago, burned down. St. George's School, burned down. Breakdown Police, all compound, destroyed by fire. See a man with a match, a lighter, and a wire, burn it down. What happened to the matter? What has happened to that matter? Police headquarters, the building that the DPP office shares, burned, all the western part, destroyed, fire. When you have the PPP in government, you have these fires. Fire, extradition killing, and cocaine. They're known for that. Fire, fire, fire. Right? Fire. That's where you get in. And let me see. Madja, who can forget that? Those 20 children perished in the fire. PPP again. Madja, 20 indigenous children died in that fire. All under the PPP watch. All under the PPP watch. So the latest in this now is Kwakwani Secondary School. And I want you all watch carefully, When these buildings are reconstructed, Multi, Christchurch, the one, St. George's and so on, look to see who are the contractors. Look, just look. Look to see who are the constructors who getting the contract to rebuild it. Look, and that will tell you a story. That will tell you a story, right? That can tell you a story. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then, before I bring him in, how can I forget? Over the weekend too, it was reported that an attempt was made to burn down Easter Penitence Police Station, arson at Easter Penitence Police Station. May I say the police talking not more about that? Easter Penitence Police Station, arson attempt, Easter Penitence Police Station, right? In addition to all the fires we get. CC, let me hear you on that.
This present government and they're hustling, they're trying to hack in the middle to go back in office. And when they're in office, three things: fire, drugs, and deaths. I repeat, fire, drugs, and deaths. You mentioned all them buildings, the children in Maggio, Christchurch School, all them things, the fire, the drugs, the 4.4 tons, Region 1, the epicenter of drug trafficking, deaths, whether they're suicide, whether they're homicide, whether they're accident, whether they're natural, whether they're natural, they're bountiful. Fire, drugs, and deaths. What they got to do is come the 1st of September is fire them.
More fire, but this time is not the one that burns. The one fire. To quote the U.S. president, "You are fired." That's what we gotta tell them. You are fired. We gotta get rid of these people, folks. We gotta get rid of these people. You gotta turn out. You gotta vote. We gotta get rid of them. President make it, not the president. Yesterday, I ain't got time for going to it today, but we're gonna do it. Yesterday, the vice president threatening that if people come for demonstrate, the police or the soldier, the ISA can deal with them. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that too. I'm going to talk about that. Statements they've been making, all kind of things they're coming with, right? All kind of things. I want to remind you too, in case, One I missed earlier, where we talk about deaths. Guyanese killed by a Venezuelan yesterday morning at Videnu. A Guyanese killed by a Venezuelan yesterday morning at Videnu. Some altercation, they say the Venezuelans stabbed the Guyanese and kill him. I see they put out wanted bulletin for him and all of that. The claim is a Venezuelan, but when I look at the name, they get addressed and all them things, I'm not too sure whether that person is indeed a Venezuelan. That is what we are, that is what we want. That is what we want. Is this what we want? Look, this is what we want to go back to. Jerry Govaya treating black people like slaves back in the slave days. Say he inspecting watch, Deputy Commissioner Watts. The man get on a cap, say he inspecting police, Foley and the command, some officer there, saluting this man who is not entitled to salute. And then watch, to make matters worse, you got to stand up over cover with umbrella. Folks, you seriously think that is what you want to continue? When you reflect on the death of those 20 indigenous children, Madja Fire, you want to tell me any right-thinking indigenous people can vote for those people again, man? Oh, man. Yeah, remember, that is how you're going to dishonor the lives of these people by saying you're voting for them to go back there? That is what you're going to dishonor these people? And let me say this to the Giant Services people who voted, including those who said put the X on the thing and show the thing. I hope that people, because I understand the people who did that were identified. I hope that in order to nip this thing and set an example, that I will find some private criminal charge to them. Let the DPP not press. Let the DPP discontinue the charge. But I'm appealing to the lawyers. I am appealing to the lawyers, especially those who are aligned to the opposition. Yeah, please bring some private criminal charge against those policemen who blatantly decided to show how they exercised. Well, blatantly violated the secrecy of the ballot. They set a bad example. And for that, they should face the court. That is my belief. They should face the court, face the consequences of their action. And again, I want to point out, we have lots and lots of hard-working, dedicated police. And actions like these, because people say police, and try to paint everybody with this broad brush. It is not fair. It is not fair. Because remember, so often, we hear policemen arrested. Look, you had a robbery. What they say, 4 policemen rob a Chinese man in Church Street. He had his winnings from the casino. When he came out, he was confronted by this, what they call terrorism patrol. They take $4 million from me. That is what they say. Police gives you the release. What has happened to that matter? That is only about a week ago. What has happened to that matter? You have the woman from New Amsterdam who is alleged to have smuggled or attempted to smuggle a firearm into the New Amsterdam prison. What has become of that matter? That is such a serious matter. Why would you want to smuggle a firearm into the prison? This problem they're trying to create, we get perhaps we have shallow memory, because back in the early 2000s when they smuggled the gun into the Georgetown prison, that is what led to years of mayhem. Years of mayhem. And you have something like that. They're silent. They haven't even given a release on it. They haven't given a release. And they talk about transparency. How they're transparent. All these things are happening under the watch of ICIN, under the watch of this government. This government does not deserve to go close to power again for the next couple, almost a millennium, the next couple centuries perhaps, right? They do not deserve to go close to power again. Corruption, left, right, and center. And as I said, the evidence is there. They corrupt all the organizations, all the institutions. They have police, GDF. I see Omar Khan, Sheikh Azuddin Mohammed the other day on Friday at the Giant Services thing. And one big nice. Again, Omar Khan is a man who is easily emotionally disturbed. So you go see your courtesy. You don't see the police constable who shook Azuddin Mohammed get transferred to to Region 6 from Region 1. You shaking your hand. And when the people using the thing as politics, you make it nice. When you see Jagdio and Irfan Ali and them go hug up somebody and post them all over the place, what you believe is propaganda? That's how the system works, Omar. You're so naive that you believe you're going to shake the hand of a political candidate like Azuddin Mohammed and people are going to use that for whatever mileage they can get. They're naive. You can't be that stupid. That is stupidity. And Ballad, that is jackassery. So you shake and then when the thing come and if you put in the thing will say you're supporting that man, you make a big statement and you run around and you make a thing. How can the chief of staff or the chief of defense staff be so naive that you're gonna shake a police man and nothing and the people ain't gonna try to twist it, and especially when I get similar Muslim name, I mean that is a level of your thinking of your look. Let me don't use any other word to describe it. It is so foolish. You're making enough nice. You only make him at his word. And again, it goes to show that you got to come out and make nice and convince your boss them who bring you back. Remember you retire and then they bring you back in 2020 for come to your staff. Right? You got to convince them, oh, is that true? I'm not true. I'm there for you. You got to do that for convince them. Right? And you talk about professionalism. How can people respect you, man? How can people respect you? Can never respect you. They fear you. The ranks under you are fearful because they might get transferred, they might last the work, they might do all sorts of things. They are fearful, but there's no respect there. There is no respect. So let me understand it clearly, no respect. Now, President made a statement that I'm going to bring in CC just now. This got to take some time. I'm talking here about the build-up or the presence of military or apparatus in the Caribbean. In case you must follow this thing, the U.S. has deployed some troops to what they say in the fight against drugs in the Caribbean. They can blockade certain part of the Caribbean, so the sea and around the some drugs. A lot of warship and destroyers and all sort of things there in the region. Yeah, please follow it. And the post asks the question, all the artillery just to intercept drugs? Is there anything more afoot? We shall see. We shall see, but it's something that all of us need to look at. And read the statement made by the Trinidadian Prime Minister recently. When you read it, a lot of repetitive stuff and so on. But basically she's saying that she will not allow the U.S. to use the Trinidad and Tobago to stage any attack against Venezuela, if I read it correctly. But she said that should Venezuela attack Guyana, then the U.S. will get the green light to use Trinidad as a staging ground. And then she said, that is our view as the head of Trinidad. She ain't talking about CARICOM. Each CARICOM leader can say what they want to say. But you believe Rolf Gonzalez, the man from St. Vincent, can go with that to attack Venezuela? You believe Rolf Gonzalez, and I saying this, I don't care what I say, dupe our president to go to Argyle for some summit with Maduro. And what came out of that? What came out? All of that is, all those things are reason why these people should not go back in government. They don't know diplomacy. The next thing, CC, jumping around. What happened to you, Tad, who came out and said the Mohammeds visited Venezuelan embassy? They're looking for visa and so on. They're implying that they want to get away. They want to go to some country where there's no extradition between that country and the U.S. That's what they're telling people. Tad come out and say, and then Jagdio come and say, no, it's only the elder Mohammed there down there. And then he challenging the elder Mohammed to produce evidence that he did not go there. You ever hear such foolishness? I always heard that the accuser has to prove. The accuser. So if they're accusing the Mohammeds of going there, not them going to prove that they've been there. But no, is the big man. And you, Tad, who made that statement? Silent. Man, well, I was about to say you ain't got the decency, but none of them ain't got no decency for them that corrupt arrangement. To come out and say, well, I misspoke or something like that. No, I just sit back there and I know we get, I can't jag you, we get some really stupid people, you know. Let me bring you Mr. Conway. I gotta play y'all song, man. CC, give me a close in there and comment on those things that I raised just now. Time ran out of us, man. We gonna come again.
Even you thought, you know, Foreign Affairs Minister, imagine this kind of relationship diplomacy he got, that he got to call in the Venezuelan ambassador to find out if the Mohammed's made any application for visa. When it couldn't be done with a phone call, pick up the phone and call him, man. That's the kind of relationship that they got there. And generally they had 5 years to deal with corruption and other things. And they didn't do anything to even put a little dent on it. And they want another 5 years. No way. It can't happen. No way. You know, so many things happening, Paul. They blunder so much, big time blunders, and they're still begging for more time. No way. No way. The 4th of September has got to be the change. The 4th of September has got to be the change. Don't give them another day.
Emancipation Day is around the corner. We got to get rid of them. Emancipation Day. And we making sure that they are...
Every 5 years, when the breeze gets strange, and the moon high behind cloud, let us rise again, not to haunt your house, but to haunt the ballot box. Every 5 years, them awake from the tomb, creeping through the night on election moon. Used to wear white, now it's blood red shirt. PPP colors and a smile that hurt. From Le Repentier straight to Brickdam Road. Name on the list like he's still in the code. Multiple IDs tucked in the hand. Voter guys voting all across the land. Voter guys voting Jumbe. PPP for life from the afterlife. You see, voter guys voting Jumbe. Marking X from the grave so mysteriously. In the afterlife, we dealing big contract. Road and bridge with a ghostly kickback. If you talk too loud, he drift through your walls. Say, shish, my child. The PPP call from Bartica Shore to Burbis Bridge. He floating cross like a phantom fridge. Nobody know how we pass the gate, but he first in line when it's voting date. Voter guys, voting Jumbe. PPP for life from the afterlife. You see, voter guys, voting Jumbe. Marking X from the grave so mysteriously. Red shirt, change the sheet. Walk from the grave to the polling street. Dead today, alive on the roll. Election rigging is the only goal. When he done, he fade in the night. Whispering low, PPP win the fight. Back in the coffin, back on the ground. Till the next 5 years come around. So if you see a shadow in the polling line, and the man behind you cold as ice, don't turn round, don't make eye contact. It's just the voter guys, the voting Jumbe.
And this country got some really stupid people, really.
Yeah, and I got some stupid people, boy. Yeah. for the combat, skip the inspections. The road broke up 1 week later, but we still get broke by the same dictator. We stupid, now we just tired, watching them sell the future we inspired. Them say we backward, don't know we work, but we watching them budgets swell up like bird. Billions vanish like it take a flight, and all we get is black hat and pothole fright. What poor cost I dreams in a vice, but the minister just buy a third paradise. School little children can get lunch for eat, but the house got marble and gold tile suite. Vote buying in play, they got the script. Paint a little cross and do a quick road fix. Development coming, they sing that song, but 5 years done and the pipe still wrong. We ain't stupid, we done woke up. Now we checking receipts and calling bluff. This the year we flip the page, turn that stupid into righteous rage. They think we stupid, cause we humble and poor, but we been taking notes since 94. We see you get land, new family rich, who get contracts and who get ditched. They laugh at we hustle, call we names while them deep in suit and running games. But tell me, who really looking dumb when the people rise and beat that drum? We got eyes wide open, ears to the ground. Truth like fire, it can't stay down, belly empty. But the mindful fed this revolution, cooking in homemade bread. Wobble the road and take the praise. Them say one broke it in 7 days. Who said we stupid, blind and slow, but we they counting every dollar them blow. Who build the road and take the praise? Them say one broke it in 7 days. Who said we stupid, blind and slow, but we they counting every dollar them blow. Who get rich off duty-free perks while we punishing and hustling work like clerks? Who said the system fair and clean? Them bribe the judge behind the screen. So tell me now, we stupid still? Nah man, we sharp and ready for the kill. What we voting with this time round? Brains, backbone and boots on the ground. Yeah, I got some stupid people, boy. Put your mistake in silence for joy. We quiet, but we fed up to the max. This time we voting with receipts and facts. We done with crumbs, done with tricks. We know who mash up the country bricks by bricks. Y'all laugh now, but listen clear. The stupid people taking back the chair.
Management. I said, we're going now with the cameras. There's a female washroom here. There's a bar here. The management explained to me that when you come and if you're going to use the pool,
closed circuit television cameras were active at the Doubleday Hotel during the time 11-year-old Adriana Young went missing, according to Dr. Dexter Todd, the attorney representing the child's family.
And as you can see, you see the pool here clear.
Yeah, we must remember Adriana Young too when we go out on Monday. Adriana Young must be foremost in our minds. Foremost. They murdered that little child. And then what, you're here nothing more? You haven't heard anything further. And they talk about transparency. The police involved in the big corrupt Mandal, the commander, he too on administrative leave. What happened to he? Getting paid for doing nothing. That is what you have in the police. And you telling me that these people deserve to get the next opportunity to go there? To do what? To thief more? To thief more? To broke up the police force and other organizations more? They have done so much harm to the police force in the last 5 years. I don't know how you're going to get to fix that. They have broken up the police force. All they want is loyalty. Look at this matter with the same matter there with Critic. And no professional police force would have treated that matter in the manner it was treated. Look at the Darmlal matter. None. If you come out and you talk against the government, they find all other charges against you. I experienced that personally. All other charges they're finding for you. But they can't silence me. I tell them already, only the grave can silence me. And that is when the Almighty will make that determination, not them. Not them. And I'm going to give you all your therapy, man. Can't do again double
Sit there
dose.
and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sujurong?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
That allegation alone, I continue to say, should debar Jagdeo and all his cohorts from ever getting near to power again. That one allegation, that woman won a global award for the investigative reporting that she did. Fantastic reporting. Set up the relationship. Send you into freeze, into brain freeze. Excellent job by this journalist from Vice News. Excellent job. And you're telling me that these people should come back for next term in office? No way. And we can all go out and vote and make sure that doesn't happen. We can make sure that they are put into the send them packing, man. Send them packing. Send them packing. Folks, we had a long afternoon. Again, I told you why we weren't here this morning, but let me say this. When I looked at the turnout this afternoon, I am pleasantly surprised. You went back into the same type of numbers as if it was a morning program. Thousands on the live. And that's why we say we'll continue to do the research and come. We have a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about. Why I want to go to this thing halfway. I want to give you the full blast. The full blast. Whatever that means. I want to give the full blast. So have a pleasant night. Have a pleasant evening. We are scheduled to be back here now on Wednesday. That is 2 days from now. Wednesday can be the 27th. Again, look out for the notifications. Look out for the notification. This week is a busy week. I'm not sure that we can come at the regular times. I will want to be here Wednesday at 11 o'clock again. Right? 11 o'clock anymore. Look out for the notification. Y'all go now and follow the page. Subscribe to the page on YouTube. Follow the page on Facebook. Because as I've said, this week, the schedule into right. But whatever, we are going to come and we're going to bring you information. At different times maybe, but follow the schedule. Follow. And as I've said, be safe. Fatal accidents. Venezuelan killing people. All sort of things happening. Again, I want me to leave by saying that the serious, people are critical. That is the term they use this morning. So let's hope that those persons in the accident this morning, I'm not sure where it was, but let me hope that they pull through. Folks, having said that, God spare life. Wednesday morning, I think we're planning to come again at 11 o'clock. We're planning to come Wednesday at 11, but that, again, stay tuned. In case there's any change, we'll let you know. Until then, stay well. Bye.